Hi, I'm back. Uh, here for week 2. And I guess the best way to do it is to just get right into it, huh? First game was Justin Herbert and the Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, I mean, the Chargers look real good. Chargers look like a phenomenal team. Love it. Justin Herbert took that big hit, got up, hit a dime. Dude looked phenomenal. He went up against any other team, they'd probably win. They look like a top 5 team in the league. Justin Herbert himself just looks elite. Patrick Mahomes, though, on the other hand, and the Chiefs, they look like if the Bills didn't exist, they'd be the best team in the league by a mile. Mahomes looks phenomenal. The whole team looks phenomenal. They look better without Hill. These two teams will be there at the end of the season. I guarantee it. I can't wait for the second matchup. But yeah, the Chiefs win in a close game. But yeah, excited to see what they'll do. Moving on to the next game. New England and Pittsburgh. A battle of offenses that kind of suck ass. The Patriots win the game, but they just didn't play. The offense wasn't amazing. Mac Jones did what he had to, played as well as he had to win the game, but other than that, the offense really just wasn't there. And same thing with the Steelers, honestly. The Steelers' offense looks even worse. I don't think it matters if they bring in Kenny Pickett to start. It doesn't really. I don't think it will make a difference. The Steelers' defense can only carry so much before the offense actually has to start cashing in, and they're not cashing in the slightest. But yeah, this game was kind of like a nothing game. That's really all there is to say about it. We have the next game, which is Carolina and New York, and New York, they look good. Defense looks good. I have to give Daniel Jones his just due. He's played really well, and he didn't make any mistakes against the Panthers, which is what usually causes him to lose. But yeah, I mean, the Giants look good, and I have to give them their just due. But on the other hand, the Panthers don't look good. The offense looked decent last week. Defense looked bad. Now this week they look bad, and the defense looked good. And it's just the way the Panthers go. They can't have two good things go at the same time. Next week the special teams will probably shit itself. But it's mostly because the coaching is so abysmally bad. I could go on for hours. I can go on its own separate video about how much I despise the Matt Rule hire. He should have been fired 16 years ago before he was ever hired. But yeah, the Panthers didn't look good at all. Christian McCaffrey had a good game, but Panthers didn't look good at all. And the Giants do look good, and yeah. On the next game is Browns and Jets. Probably one of the better games of the thing. Browns didn't look bad offensively. Nick Chubb had a phenomenal game. But yeah, you let up 31 points to the Jets of all teams. You're not gonna have a fun day, and the Browns didn't look good. Browns just didn't look good today. I still don't think this team is that good, but hey, whatever. The Jets, on the other hand, looked phenomenal. Joe Flacco looked elite for like the first time in his life. Kind of kidding. Garrett Wilson showed up and got 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. My boy, absolute popping off. But hey, Jets onside kick, recover, score the game-winning touchdown. Jets upset the Browns. Thank God they did with that stupid, like the massages are not illegal mannequin the Browns had. I'll find it, put it up, whatever. You've all seen it. But next game is Jags and Colts, and God, Trevor Lawrence looked good. Trevor Lawrence looked real good. Defense looked good, and I want to compliment the Jags more, but it's the Colts that I want to talk about, where it's like, what is happening? They're running. Jonathan Taylor didn't look great today. Matt Ryan's been the worst quarterback in all of football. The offense, the receivers aren't even real. They're Madden auto-generated people for all I know. They look like the worst team in football by a mile. This team is supposed to be good, and they've looked horrible. And I get they play the Chiefs next week, but I feel like they need to they don't need to win. They just need to score points. They just need to put up a fight against the Chiefs. Because it won't be hard to win this division. But geez, this is a bad start. Next game was Bucks and Saints, but this game was nothing. This game was absolutely nothing, right? Was Brady getting upset at his offense? The fight between Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore, like part 4, and the Bucks defense carrying the Bucks to this victory. The Saints didn't look great offensively, and they did well defensively until Jameis sold the game away. And they pissed off Brady, and Brady was breaking shit and all that. But again, because of the Bucks defense, they won. So that's really all there is to say about that game. So I guess move on to Lions and Commanders. The Commanders look good. Prince Harry had another really good game. Shocking, looking like his 2017 form again. Curtis Samuel catching another touchdown pass. Dude's a dog. And the Lions looked just as good as I thought they would. Jared Goff had a really nice game again. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like a number one receiver. And second overall pick Aiden Hutchinson has looked elite already. Like I hoped he would, being a massive Michigan fan. Seeing him be this good already is very, very nice. But yeah, the Lions held off a late Commanders comeback. The Lions are 1-1, and I'll talk about the Eagles later. But right now, the Lions look like one of the best teams in football, if you ask me. This team is built. Dan Campbell's built a culture, and this team is really bought into it, and that's amazing to see that Detroit football might finally be back. The last game of the 1 o'clock window was probably the best one in Dolphins and Ravens. The Ravens are carried by Lamar. He had, like 300 yards passing. Lamar is making sure this team it makes the playoffs. Like he is just carrying them. Bateman had a good game, and so did Andrews. But it's just you watched that game, you saw that it was Lamar doing a lot of it for himself. On the other hand, though, the Dolphins, Waddle looks good. Hill looks great. Gesicki hitting that weird ass goddamn gritty. The Tua hate has to stay silent for another week. Threw for 6 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, but he kind of popped the fuck off in this game, and the people who despise Tua kind of have to be quiet for another week. Moving on to the 4 o'clock window, we have the Niners and Seahawks, and the Seahawks didn't look great. The Seahawks offensively looked bad. Like, I kind of assumed that the win against Denver was going to be like a quick flash, and then they'd be back to being a bottom-dwelling team, but that was just a bad game. And Lockett had a majority of the yards receiving, but they just didn't look there today. And they're not. This team is not going to be very good for the rest of the year. On the other hand, the Niners looked good, and I apologize to Niners fans. I'm sorry that Lance is out for the year. Really sad to hear. But at least you have Jimmy G again. Jimmy Garoppolo came in after Lance got injured, and he looked good. He looked like his usual Jimmy Garoppolo ass, and it's just funny. I'm just saying this Niners team is. I'll say it. Yeah, I'll say the Niners team looks a lot better than I initially thought they would. Next game, Falcons and Rams. Rams obviously win this, but Stafford he had a better game than he did in the opener, but he just didn't look there yet. He still has not looked. The 2 interceptions, I'm not a big fan of 2 interceptions, but Cooper Kupp still absolutely carrying. Defense played but the Rams still need to have figure shit out a little bit. On the other hand, the Falcons, Marcus Mariota looks not great, not phenomenal, not bad, he looks average to bad. Average leaning towards bad. He has I guess like Kyle Pitts like fucking spit on him or something because he just doesn't want to look at him anymore. Drake London looked really good for this team. And them putting up 27 points against the defending champs is good. They still lose. Despite trying to come back late, it's the Falcons. They're gonna be cursed until the end of time. There's not much else to say. The Falcons don't look good, and the Rams still don't look even close to as good as they did last year. Next, the Texans and the Broncos. The Texans, yeah, they look bad. The Texans don't look good. It's the way of the world. They just don't look good. There's nothing to really comment on here because Davis Mills didn't play a great game. Dameon Pierce still hasn't really shown up. 69 yards, nice. Isn't bad. It's just, they're the Texans and getting 9 points. They got 9 points off of 3 field goals. On the other hand, though, Broncos, it took the Broncos the whole game, but they finally got the lead off of the Texans. Going into the fourth, they were down 9-6, and they would score 10 points in the sixth to make it 16-9, where they would win. But I'm still very concerned about this Broncos team. Russ statistically is decently fine. You look at this on paper, this looks good, but they're not scoring points. You can't. The whole name of the game is scoring points, and they just aren't doing it. I don't know if it's Nathaniel Hackett. I don't know what it is, but they're just not. Their offense just cannot finish, and it's gonna keep biting them in the ass. And it didn't bite them in the ass against the worst team in football. Second to last game of the 4 o'clock window was Cowboys and Bengals. Cowboys, Cooper Rush, elite. Zeke actually got 53 yards. It's a lot for him. Pollard had a touchdown because he's better than Zeke. Noah Brown showed up, and to see his team is still good with Cooper Rush at the helm is cool to watch. Yes, it's still fuck the Cowboys, but it's nice to see. It's cool to see that that they haven't given up hope in the season. They're still playing real well. Speaking of the other hand, the Bengals. Joe Burrow is not doing great. 199, 1 touchdown, and this offense looks bad. I don't know I don't know if it's Zach again. Like the same thing. I'm repeating myself with the Broncos, but it seems I don't know if it's Zach Taylor. I don't know what it is with this offense, but it's not working this year, and they have to go figure it out. This defense, kept the game in hand, but you can't. This offense was so explosive last year, and now it just looks stale, and they're not doing anything different to stop it. Last game of the 4 o'clock window was Raiders and Cardinals. Derek Carr didn't play bad statistically. Fucking Mac Hollins was the leading receiver on the Raiders today. Devontae Adams had 12 yards total. One of those catches was for 1 yard. That was a touchdown though. But the Raiders, they kept it close. They kept themselves in the game, and let the Cardinals come back, and the Cardinals brought it in overtime, and they won off of a fumble, scoop, and score, which was a weird ending, but whatever. But hey, on the play to send them into overtime for the 2-point conversion, hell of a pass by Kyler Murray. The Cardinals looked better, a lot better today. Still not super impressed or convinced with the Cardinals anymore. It's going to take a lot more to put me back on the side of the Cardinals are going to be good. It's nice to see that they had a good game today, and I'm going to reserve judgment until MW2 comes out, because you never know, right? You never know. But that's about it for the 4 o'clock window. The primetime game for Sunday was Packers-Bears, and the Packers, they're fine. I knew this was going to happen. The Packers are fine. Aaron Rodgers, 234, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had a fucking game. Yeah, I knew it was just going to take a second. And yeah, the Packers do their normal shit where the Bears, obviously they played the Bears. They're going to beat the Bears. They do it every fucking game. On the other hand, last week I complimented the Bears in the rain and said, yeah, it wasn't abysmal. David Montgomery had a good game. I'll give him that. Justin Fields, on the other hand, 7 for 11 on 70 yards, 1 interception, 20 yards rushing, and a touchdown. Justin Fields, if you combine those numbers, you get 90. He didn't even have 100 yards in total offense for himself. The only person that had a good game was David Montgomery. This Bears team is bad. They're very bad, and I know that they're going to get even worse. People who think Justin Fields is the franchise quarterback, you are wrong. He is ass. And if this ages like milk, I'll come back and say I'm wrong. I have no issue with that. But it won't, because he's ass. He is not taking you anywhere. He'll take you to the bottom of the league. But yeah, now moving on to the Monday night games. There's not much to say about Bills and Titans other than the fact that the Bills scored 41 points in 3 quarters and the Titans scored 7. Tannehill doesn't look good. Henry doesn't look great. Henry doesn't look good at all. And yeah, the Titans look really, really bad. And the Bills look like they're by far the best team in the league. Allen had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Diggs had 148 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Bills are a buzzsaw that nobody is going to stop. I don't know who's going to stop this team because there's not because they are deadly. They are one of the most dangerous teams in the league, and it's scary. The other Monday night game was Vikings and Eagles. I don't have a beat on the Vikings yet. I'm gonna hold off judgment of the team as in whole. Cousins had 221 yards, one touchdown, three interceptions. Not great. Not a great game. Bad game. The Eagles kept Jefferson in check. And yeah, the Vikings. Again, I'm gonna hold off on saying they're bad, good, mediocre. Because if I had to rank Kirk Cousins, have 32 quarterbacks, I would put him at 30. I'd put him at 16 because he is the most average quarterback I've ever seen in my life. But I'd rather Kirk than any quarterback the Panthers have had in the past however many years since 2015. Yeah, I'm gonna withhold on the to criticize the Vikings just yet. It was a bad game, but I want to see next week from them before I start talking about them. But the Eagles are one of the better teams in the league. Jalen Hurts, like I said, is a dog. He almost brought me back from a 50-point deficit in fantasy. 333 yards, one touchdown. He also had two rushing touchdowns. The defense looked phenomenal. I'll see you guys next week. When we talk about week 3, same shit. Here's the power rankings that I have. And, yeah, I'll see y'all next week. I've been Dom. Bye-bye.